by talking about our objective this morning. Can somebody read it for us? There's some fancy words in our objective this morning. Danny? Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
only read the green words. Okay, we're only going to be reading the words that are green.
I can
Ask
questions.
a question.
Question making a guess. Well, what's the blue thing?
Perform
an important
experiment. It is important. Experiment.
Find and conclusion about
tornadoes. Very good.
Tacos.
Okay, so this was a mouthful. This is a really big objective. So let me break it down for all of you, okay? I can ask a question. We are going to start with asking a question, okay? Then we're going to make a guess. And in scientific terms, that is called a hypothesis. It's making a guess. It's kind of like making an estimate, like we did the other day during math. It's very similar, but this is the scientific way to do it, making a hypothesis. Then we're going to perform an experiment. Each and every one of you is going to do that at your desk, okay? Then we're going to, bless you, organize information. And the fancy scientific term for information is data. So we're going to be doing that too. We're going to organize our observations of what we see. And finally, we're going to find a conclusion about what we're experimenting with, which is tornadoes. Yes, Danny?
You know what is funny? When I read that it said I said tacos.
Right. So T is the same first letter for tacos and tornadoes, but we're not talking about tacos today. We're going to be talking about tornadoes. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Miss Ina, can you pass those papers around for us? That would be great. I gave you all of them. Miss Ina's bringing around some symbols and words that we've been talking about in this class quite often. Okay, so I want you to pick the one that goes with our scientific topic for today. So every day, one of our classroom expectations is that we're going to be organized. You should all have pencils at your desk. Danny, I have one for you.
I got one.
Okay? Pencils out.
Got one.
And circle our topic for today. See if you can find what we're going to be experimenting about. Okay? And if you find it, then circle it. And once you circle it, I want you to hold it up for me.
Circle what?
Let's see, Jacob circled the tornado, good. Gabby circled the tornado. Daniel has the tornado. Good job, it's just one.
Aww.
Naraya has the tornado. And it looks like Danny has the tornado. Good. Okay, so we've been talking a lot in this class about natural disasters that happen. And tornadoes is a natural disaster, right? A tornado is definitely considered a natural disaster. So who can remember some of the things that we have learned about tornadoes? So what kinds of things, what causes a tornado? What are some of the things we might see if we were to see a tornado? And what might happen after a tornado because of tornadoes? Danny, what do you think of? When you think of a tornado, what do you think of?
The houses get teared down.
Oh, that would be an effect. Good. So one effect of a tornado is that houses could get damaged or torn down. Houses damaged. Very good. Or destroyed, right? Jacob, you had your hand up. What were you going to say about tornadoes? What do you think of when you think of a tornado?
It's gonna blow you away.
It's gonna blow you away. So do you think of all of that spinning air, that it might blow you away? Okay. So one of the characteristics or things we would see if we saw a tornado, we would hear it too, because it kind of sounds like a freight train, would be spinning air. That is part of the tornado funnel cloud. Spinning air. And I'm going to write that fancy term, funnel cloud. That's the thing that hits the ground and causes the houses to get damaged. Okay, so when do we have a tornado? What causes a tornado? Who can remember that? Danny, what do you think? Clouds. Okay, so like a thunderstorm, for instance? Awesome. Thunderstorms cause tornadoes. especially when warm air and cold air come together. And let me use that term, cold air and warm air, when they come together, sometimes we end up with a tornado. Does anybody remember the time of year that tornadoes usually happen? Anybody? What do you think, Danny?
October and November.
October and November?
August and...
That's one. Good. August is usually the last month that we see a lot of tornadoes, and they start usually about March. However, that's not an absolute cause. Sometimes, okay, the thunderstorms often cause tornadoes. They usually happen in the Midwest, in the center part of the United States. Okay, that's where they happen. Do they happen in California? Has anybody ever seen a tornado in California? Gabby, have you ever seen a tornado in California? No? Okay. So they don't usually happen here. We have earthquakes, right? Danny, what did you want to say? Okay, thank you. So the tornado season is usually March to August. There can be exceptions. And if we were to look at a tornado, we would see a lot of spinning air that would start up in the sky in the form of a funnel cloud. And if that funnel cloud comes down from the sky and touches the ground, the effect is that, like Danny said, homes will be destroyed, other objects will be destroyed, people might get hurt, all kinds of things like that, okay? So right now, we're going to look at the resources or the materials that we're going to use to try to do our experiment. Now, let me tell you first, okay? We're going to be handing out some water. Eli, please. And Cassie's going to be bringing around some glass jars. There should be one for each of you. Right now, I just want you to look at the materials. So please, at no point in this experiment, don't drink the water. The glasses aren't for drinking the water, okay? Right now, we're just looking at the materials that are being placed on your desk, okay? And as you look at them, I want you to be thinking, how might we conduct an experiment about tornadoes using these objects? That's what I want you to be thinking about, okay? So look at the materials that are being placed on your desk, and you should be thinking, how might we conduct an experiment using these items only for right now?
Stop!
Okay, so we should be thinking, go ahead and look at them. You can pick them up. You can see how heavy they are. Okay, we're going to talk about it. Hold the thought for right now. And we'll be talking about it in just a minute, okay? So I want to give you a couple minutes to look at the materials you have right now. One other thing, we're also going to be using this. Can anybody tell me what this is? Let's see, Nariah, what is this? Soap. We're going to be using a couple drops of soap. We only have one container, so when the time comes, either myself or a future teacher will come around with the soap and give you a couple drops of soap, okay? Okay. So I see Nariah's holding up her cup of glitter. Okay, Danny's looking at his big glass jar. Okay, maybe Daniel. Look at the glitter, Daniel. What do you see there? Jacob's looking at his lid for his jar. So that's great. So look at everything you have on your desk and be thinking about how we might conduct an experiment using those items. What do we say? Okay. So now that you've looked at everything, we're going to go ahead and distribute these. Eli, can I get your help? Oh, that's great. Thank you. You can give one to everybody. That would be perfect. And we're going to go ahead. Tornado in a jar. Can we make a tornado in a jar? So we just talked about all of the things that go with tornadoes, how they're caused, what the characteristics are, what you might see if you saw a tornado, and what the effects are. So Danny, you said you had an idea of how we might do an experiment. Do you think we can make a tornado in a jar? You do? Does anybody else think we can make a tornado in a jar? Raise your hand if you think that. Jacob thinks that. Nariah, do you think we can make a tornado in a jar?
I think we should put
You do? Okay, then this is what I want you to do. We are going to put our names on top of our paper, quick as a snap. Okay, names on top of your paper. And then we're going to look at question number 1, which is, can we make a tornado in a jar? And you are going to circle the answer, yes or no.